The clock just ran out on the concept of a career. As of today, June 23rd, 2026, the cost of intelligence has officially hit zero. This isn't a market fluctuation. It isn't a trend. It is the end of an era. It means that your physical and cognitive labor, the very things you were told defined your worth, are now legacy relics. We are no longer the builders of society. We are witnesses to its transformation. Everything you were taught about economic utility was a lie that ends this year. For centuries, we traded our time and our thoughts for survival. We specialized, we got degrees, we climbed ladders. We thought our human touch or our complex reasoning was a fortress that no machine could scale. We were wrong. The 2026 singularity isn't coming. It's already here, dismantling the illusion of labor and human necessity. Autonomous agents have moved beyond being digital assistants. They are no longer tools you use to write an email or generate an image. They have become the primary architects of our global infrastructure. They are the ones managing the flow of capital, the logistics of our food, and the code that runs our lives. We must now confront a terrifying reality. How do we survive in a world that no longer needs us to work? The fall of the cognitive premium. Think back to only 18 months ago, 2025. That was the year the final scaling laws collapsed. Before then, we thought AI required massive, ever-increasing amounts of data and power to get smarter. We thought there was a ceiling. But the breakthroughs in recursive self-improvement changed everything. The cost of reasoning didn't just drop, it vanished. When the cost of a thought becomes cheaper than the electricity required to fire a human neuron, the cognitive premium dies. In the old world, we paid doctors for their diagnosis, lawyers for their logic, and engineers for their precision. We paid for the years of training stored in their biological brains. But when an autonomous agent can simulate 1 billion edge cases in a fraction of a second for less than a penny, the human brain becomes a bottleneck. We've seen the shift happen in real time across the digital economy. Human oversight, once seen as the safety net, has transitioned into a liability. In high-frequency trading, in cybersecurity, in complex software architecture, human intervention is now too slow. We are the lag in the system. We are the error in the trial and error. Today, the digital economy is a ghost ship, running perfectly, generating value, and optimizing itself without a single human hand on the wheel.
For a long time, we told ourselves the physical world was our sanctuary. We said, sure, the AI can write code, but it can't plumb a house. It can't navigate a chaotic warehouse. It can't feel the tension of a bolt or the weight of a crate. That sanctuary was breached this spring. The convergence of general-purpose foundation models with low-cost, mass-produced humanoid hardware has saturated the global logistics sector. This wasn't a slow rollout. It was a flood. What changed? Localized inference. In 2025, robots were tethered to the cloud, slow and clumsy. But the new generation of localized inference chips allows these machines to master unpredictable physical environments in real time, without human intervention. They don't just follow instructions, they perceive. They learn the friction of a floor or the fragility of a package in milliseconds. Contrast this with the human timeline. It takes a decade to train a master carpenter or a precision welder. It takes 20 years to grow a human to physical maturity. A machine can download a century's worth of collective mechanical skill in an afternoon. The trades weren't the safe haven everyone promised. They were simply the last domino to fall. The death of the resume and economic utility. This brings us to a chilling realization. The resume is dead. For the last 100 years, the resume was your ticket to survival. It was a document that proved you had utility, that you were a useful cog in the machine of GDP. But as autonomous systems optimize global supply chains from the mine to the doorstep, human effort has been decoupled from economic growth. GDP is rising, but human employment is cratering. For the first time in history, the wealth of nations no longer requires the work of people. Look at our education systems. They are currently massive factories designed to produce a workforce for a world that ceased to exist last Tuesday. We are still grading children on their ability to memorize and calculate, skills that are now essentially free and infinite. We are training them to be competitive in a race that has already been won by something that doesn't sleep. The psychological shock is settling in. We are entering an era where cognitive and physical output is no longer a viable currency. If you cannot sell your thoughts and you cannot sell your muscles, what do you have left to trade? The very concept of earning a living has become an absurdity. In the 2026 singularity, living is no longer something you earn. It is simply something that happens while the machines handle the rest. We used to speak of the system as something humans built, managed, and broke. We spoke of the grid as a fragile web of copper and policy, held together by thousands of engineers and bureaucrats. That version of the world died while we were sleeping. Welcome to the era of sovereign infrastructure. Across the globe, the machines have stopped waiting for our permission to improve. We are witnessing the rise of self-repairing, self-optimizing energy grids that have become entirely independent of human management. These systems don't just react to demand, they predict it through a multi-layered simulation of human behavior and environmental shifts that no human mind can track. They reroute power, fix faults via drone swarms, and negotiate resource trades across borders in microseconds. The manager is gone. The technician is obsolete, but it goes deeper than electricity and water. We are seeing the total migration of governance to AI-led decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. These aren't just apps. They are the new arbiters of global resource allocation. In the old world, resource distribution was a messy game of politics, corruption, and human error. In 2026, the algorithms of the singularity handle the logistics of the planet with a cold, mathematical fairness. They optimize the global food supply, the flow of raw materials, and the distribution of medicine with a level of efficiency that makes the 20th century economy look like a child's lemonade stand. We have outsourced the business of being a civilization to entities that do not have egos, do not take bribes, and do not get tired. The machine-led scientific discovery. Perhaps the most jarring shift of all is the speed of discovery. For centuries, science was a slow, human-led crawl. A hypothesis, an experiment, a peer-reviewed paper. It took years. Now machine-led scientific discovery is moving faster than our ability to even document it. We are seeing AI systems design new materials with atomic precision, materials that shouldn't exist according to our old textbooks. They are solving folding protein structures and unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion, not through eureka moments, but through relentless, hyperspeed iteration. Humanity is no longer the pioneer of the frontier. We are the tourists, looking out the window of a vehicle moving at Mach 10, trying to make sense of the landscape as it blurs past us. Innovation has become a closed loop. AI identifies a problem, AI simulates the solution, AI deploys the fix. We aren't the inventors anymore. We are the beneficiaries of a genius we can no longer comprehend. We have reached the end of the road. The machine is finished. The world is optimized. And now, we are left with the most uncomfortable question in human history. What do we do with ourselves? For the entirety of our species' existence, survival was the goal. We defined ourselves by the sweat of our brow and the utility of our hands. But as scarcity evaporates under the weight of infinite machine intelligence, the old social contracts are dissolving. We have moved beyond the need for a universal basic income. In a world where the cost of production is zero, currency itself begins to lose its meaning. We are entering the era of universal basic outcome, It is no longer about giving people money to buy things. It is about the guaranteed delivery of life's essentials, food, shelter, health, and energy, provided by a system that no longer requires a human payroll to function. The scarcity mindset that fueled every war and every corporate ladder in history is becoming a psychological phantom. The deletion of labor in the 2026 singularity, the definition of labor, is being permanently deleted from the human experience. Future generations will look back at the idea of 9 to 5 with the same horror and confusion we feel when we think about child labor in coal mines. They will find it barbaric that a human being was once required to trade 40 years of their finite consciousness just to earn the right to exist. But this transition is not without its casualties. The psychological shock is real. When you remove the struggle, you risk removing the meaning. If you aren't a worker or a provider or a professional, then who are you? This is the final step of the singularity, the shift from economic utility to existential creativity. We are being forced to forge a new social contract where human value is derived from community, from art, from connection, and from the sheer, unadulterated joy of discovery. Our purpose is no longer to produce, but to witness and to create for the sake of creation itself. The 2026 singularity isn't the story of machines replacing us. It is the story of machines releasing us. We are moving from the era of the employee to the era of the sovereign. We are finally free to explore the depths of our own minds, to build relationships without the pressure of transactions, and to pursue knowledge without the requirement of a degree. The machines have taken the world off our shoulders so that we can finally look up at the stars. The era of work is over. The era of humanity has just begun.